Hi there and welcome to our channel. We're going to talk about critical thinking. The Grand Master of military strategy and leadership, Karl von Clausewitz, thoroughly embraced the value of critical thinking in his writings concerning military genius. Clausewitz advised, "What we must do is to survey all those gifts of mind and temperament that in combination bear on military activity, also consider the challenge presented to all the military departments by Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld when he called for leaders who were proactive, more like venture capitalists, and deal with uncertainty, those unknowns. Critical thinking is required to address this kind of challenge. To understand the concept of critical thinking, first one must try to define it, what it is and what it is not. So, what is critical thinking? There is only one thing harder than learning to think critically, trying to define the concept in a comprehensive way. To arrive at a comprehensive definition, one must consider the origins of critical thinking, some misconceptions about critical thinking, and some of the attributes of critical thinking. We can trace the origins of critical thinking back to the early Greek philosophers. The word itself comes from two Greek words, kritikos, meaning discerning judgment, and kriterion, meaning standard. Among the philosophers most closely associated with critical thinking was Socrates, who strived to find meaning and truth through serious questioning. In his day, Socrates embodied the ideas of kritikos and kriterion, two ideas we will consider later when we address a modern construct for critical thinking. He developed the art of Socratic questioning to reach a more profound logic, understanding, and reflective thought. In essence, Socrates' method was the quest for reason and wisdom. Many years after Socrates, Clausewitz tried to define critical thinking. As mentioned earlier, Clausewitz called his brand of critical thinking genius. In his definition, Clausewitz stated, "Genius consists in a harmonious combination of elements, in which one or the other ability may predominate, but none may be in conflict with the rest." He further defines critical thinking as strength of mind, and as the ability to keep one's head at times of exceptional stress and violent emotion. While we have no evidence Clausewitz studied Socrates, there seems to be little doubt Clausewitz understood critical thinking and helped solidify the importance of critical thinking to strategic leaders. Even with the clear writings of Socrates and Clausewitz, there are still misconceptions about what constitutes critical thinking. Many people often use the term critical thinking without understanding the concept, the meaning, or how to apply it. Others progress to a stage sociologist Dr. Richard Paul calls activated ignorance, that is, taking into the mind and actively using information that is false though mistakenly thinking it is true. Another misconception involves the term critical thinking itself. Critical thinking is not being a critic or a cynic. Being a critic or cynic is not critical thinking at all, but many times this is the common practice. Some people even confuse critical thinking with having a critical spirit. This does not mean being negative or hypercritical of everything or every issue. Exploring the attributes of a critical thinker will help lead to a common definition. Critical thinking can be termed robust thinking because it involves many different attributes. Most importantly, critical thinking is a state of mind whose goal is better thinking. The attribute is being repetitively cognizant of one's thought process. The term metacognition has been used to describe this state of being, essentially, thinking about thinking. The mark of a good critical thinker then is the ability to continually monitor thought patterns for emotional, analytic, and psychological biases. Another critical thinking attribute is a questioning or inquisitive attitude. Critical thinkers always ask questions to learn more and reach a greater understanding. Critical thinkers appreciate and are not threatened by contradictory information that does not match what is already understood and accepted. Additionally, they are comfortable working with ideas and thinking of things in different ways. Finally, critical thinkers like to hold their thinking to high standards of objectivity. Taken together, these attributes give critical thinking its robust qualities. Although defining critical thinking is still difficult, Dr. Richard Paul, the foremost scholar of critical thinking, uses the following definition: critical thinking, 1. Disciplined, self-directed thinking that exemplifies the perfections of thinking appropriate to a specific mode or domain of thinking. 2. Thinking that displays mastery of intellectual skills and abilities. 3. The art of thinking about one's thinking while thinking, to make one's thinking better, more clear, more accurate, or more defensible. 4. Thinking that is fully aware of and continually guards against the natural human tendency to self-deceive and rationalize to selfishly get what it wants. A more concise definition of critical thinking is the ability to logically assess the quality of one's thinking and the thinking of others to consistently arrive at greater understanding and achieve wise judgments. There are many other definitions of critical thinking and most are very similar. The key is to recognize that regardless of the definition, critical thinking abilities can be individually developed. Thanks for watching and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel.